Come on and cry me a river. Cry me a river. I cried a river over
Good morning, everyone, and welcome. This time, I did not forget to unmute my microphone. Yesterday, I forgot for the whole emission, so what a shame. I'm very sorry. Even though the episode is up there without audio, without my voice, with music and the article, you can read it and you can click to the link if you want. I'm not gonna read it again. So, here we are today, 26th of February, 2026. Again, another 2026 with a 26. And today, I have a couple of things I want to share with you. The first one is a little and quick recap on the Winter Olympics. I found a couple of clips and a little text that is very interesting to read in relation to psychology and mental health, the things we are doing here always. So let's start with that if you don't mind. But after that, we have this article. The main content of today is this article. Cognitive Warfare 2026. NATO's Chief Scientist report a sentinel call for operational readiness by Dr. James Giordano, Strategic Insights from the Institute for National Strategic Studies of the National Defense University. Cool, but let's start with our recap on the Olympics. The first curious information I found is this one. Who couldn't believe this? Fun fact, Eileen Gu was born when her mother was over 40. Gu has no father, or her father was not involved. That sounds better. She took her mother's last name. The only thing we know is that she's a Hapa. Her mom is a genetic biologist. Plus, Eileen Gu and Alisa Liu grew up in the same community and have known each other since childhood. We have the two main recognizable faces from, at least from the social media I know, is these two ladies. These two ladies. Seems like both of them were lab-made. Okay, I don't know, but sounds pretty close to that. And then we have Gu Eileen, one of the two persons we're talking about here, making a very interesting exercise of visualization to see how important visualization is for good performance, the highest of performances. So let's check what she's doing before the game, the play. Here we go. Okay. She's pretty much reviewing or redoing the routine. with her imagination only. It's like the brain when you have a nightmare. Most of the time is your brain anticipating, predicting something shocking, so you're not paralyzed when you've experienced it. You have a pre-session, so it's not the first time you live something shocking. I hope that makes sense. For example, if tomorrow I have to teach a class to important persons and I'm a little bit nervous, I have a nightmare when the persons are not happy with the teaching class, and it's a nightmare, okay? So the next time, even if it happens, when happened, I'm not gonna be so shocked because I lived it before in my dreams, in my nightmare, if that makes sense. So visualization, very important. If a marathonist, the runner, the people that runs 40 kilometers, if one of them get hurt and cannot train every day, they got depression and they obviously diminish his capabilities in that realm. But if you train with your imagination every day, your body and your capabilities are gonna stay good or even improve. And you're not gonna be depressed, at least not so much, because your brain and your body does not differentiate between when you imagine you're doing something, almost the same activations in your brain and reactions in your body are gonna be when you imagine you're doing something and when you're really doing something, if that makes sense. I hope I'm being able to explain it good enough. The next one from the Olympics, we have this one. This is with audio. I'm gonna load the music. And I'm not sure. Yes, I have the audio already.
Olympic and Paralympic Committee. He's actually in Italy right now.
No, I don't have the audio. Let me fix that very quick.
You can completely change the outcome to things that you want if you can just first recognize
Okay,
that
we have it.
attention is either internal or
1 second. Sorry for the rough.
Did you know there's a way that you can actually trick your brain into helping you stay in a flow state? Here's how it works. So I just spoke to Alex Cohen. He is a senior sports psychologist for the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. He's actually in Italy right now at the Olympics. And he told me that he tells all of his athletes the same thing. And it's that you can completely change the outcome to things that you want if you can just first recognize that attention is either internal or external. So when we start to focus our attention on something internal, we start to sort of consciously control our body movements or how we are feeling at the moment, and that interrupts any kind of flow that we were in or smooth automatic processing, which is literally just our ability to perform any kind of task quickly, efficiently, just like we know how to, without any kind of conscious thought about it. So Alex likes his Olympians to have external focus cues to avoid that. So let me give you an example. If you were doing a squat exercise and someone told you to focus on pushing your knees out, that's an internal focus cue. But if they would have told you to focus on pushing your knees against a band that you're wearing, that would be causing you to focus on something external. So it's just using something in your environment. Like if you were doing squat jumps, instead of saying explode with your legs, it would click better for us if you were to say push through the floor. I just thought this was really interesting, and since it's been so successful with these Olympians, I'm hoping that you find it useful too.
Fantastic. So we have the power of visualization and we have the control of our focus. The external world is our senses, hearing something, seeing something, smelling something, and so on. And the internal world is our body sensations, our thoughts, our feeling, our emotions. And if the stress stimulus or stimuli comes from outside, you can control your tranquility, if you want, focusing mainly in your inner world, if the stress or preoccupations, worries comes from the inside world, you can alleviate it, focusing mainly to the outside world as well. So the importance of controlling our focus of attention and the power of visualization, two very important things in clinical hypnosis and mental health. Every psychological problem can be understood as a not sufficient control over our focus of attention. A paranoid is always focused on someone is going after him, or a depressed person is always focused on, the when I was kid, this was perfect, now it's sad, or something like that, no? Or always focused on the past, and so on. So very important to exercise the control of your focus of attention, if that makes sense. Now, let's go with the music. Let's come back with the music and read the article of today, if you don't mind. Let's go. And the article is, as I already said, Cognitive Warfare 2026, NATO's Chief Scientist report as Sentinel call for operational readiness by Dr. James Giordano, Strategic Insights. The recently released NATO Chief Scientist 2025 report on cognitive warfare provides a timely acknowledgment of strategic reality that contemporary conflict is increasingly behavior-centric, and the decisive terrain is often not geographic, but how individuals and groups perceive, interpret, decide, and act. This morning I uploaded a video about the semantic universe of an individual. Very interesting, and connects with this because our semantic universe define or influence in a very important way how we interpret, decide, and act. So let's continue. I have had the privilege, honor, and pleasure of working on NATO's initial cognitive warfare studies beginning in 2018, exactly after the meme wars started. A little bit late, which explicitly emphasize that cognitive warfare is not merely PSYOPS with better tools. Okay, what is then? Indeed, NATO efforts in this space echo our group's ongoing work that has argued for a more expansive yet I don't know what that word is. Realistic view of cognitive warfare as a mix of emerging technologies, influence methods, and adversary exploitation of societal fault lines that can be engaged to shape the conditions under which humans form beliefs, allocate attention, and generate intent. The nature of warfare may remain the same, but operationally, I posit that cognitive engagements change three fundamentals of military missions, namely, the target set expands from discrete platforms or messages to human cognitive and social systems, trust networks, identity narrative, institutional legitimacy. The battle space becomes continuous, operating non-kinetically below thresholds of armed conflict, blending strategic competition, hybrid pressure, and wartime maneuvering. Yeah, exactly what we're witnessing right now. The measure of effectiveness shifts from short-term message penetration to durable change in cognitive patterns and behavioral dispositions, e.g., risk perception, Yes, from almost nuclear war to a little bit more tranquil. Threat appraisal, civic cohesion, and willingness to support military action. Perfect! Increasingly, in the United States, in Europe, it's not working, so NATO, get a grip. Increasingly, neurotechnology and artificial intelligence are becoming dual-use instruments for cognitive engagement to leverage biological, psychological, and social levels of effect. As follows: biological level, manipulation capacity. This level directly targets the nervous system as the focal substrate of thoughts. Wow! Emotion and behavior. Neuroscientific techniques and technologies can be used to assess and affect individual and aggregate/group physiological functions to affect individual physiological functions to alter, disrupt, direct, degrade, or improve cognitive capabilities, mental states, decision-making, and actions. Okay, the biological level can be from something in the water to in the air, etc. You know, right? Food, lab food. Psychological level, manipulating interpretation. Here, the focus is upon influencing cognitive appraisals, framing emotions, and the patterns of thought that contribute to and shape individual and collective attitudes, beliefs, and judgment. AI-enabled influence, for example, on social and public media, can tailor stimuli to engage individual and group vulnerabilities and volatilities, which may have been previously or modulated through the use of neuro-ST to affect susceptibility and altering arousal states or attentional gating. Yes, the other day we have the news that something is pulsing from the earth that can make people feel or hear some buzzing sounds or something like that. Yeah, sure. And also the data centers are acoustic weapons. I saw a video on YouTube that about measuring the ultra infrasounds and the sounds from a data center, and it's practically a acoustic weapon. You can find it in YouTube. Social level, manipulating cohesion. This is the overarching level for influencing shared narratives, beliefs, institutional legitimacy, and public views, values, and activities. Cognitive engagement seeks to fracture cohesion. Oh, that's clear with, for example, people from the right defending the Epstein files, very curious election of characters doing that, from Nick Fuentes to the Quartering, very strange and kind of jokey way. Cognitive engagement seeks to fracture cohesion, weaponize identity, yes, and create epistemic chaos. Oh, nice title, Epistemic Chaos. I have to do something with that. In this slide, NATO's emphasis that the cognitive front is not only military but societal is both accurate and strategically important to recognize. In practice, these levels are not mutually exclusive, but rather can and should be regarded as complementary, reinforcing domains and dimensions of vulnerability, influence, and targetability, utilizing bottom-up biological targeting to incur psychological and social effects, middle out AI, i.e. psychological targeting to evoke both biological responses and social manifestations, and top down i.e. social level engagements to induce both psychobiological and biopsychological effects, approaches, too many parentheses, as shown in the figure below. Okay, let's see the figure below. Can we see it? Yes. Top down, social targeting, social effects. Middle out, psychological targeting. And bottom, psych effects. Bottom up, neurobiological targeting, psychological, physiological effects. Okay. NATO's cognitive warfare ecosystem is explicit in its call for building practical capabilities and developing doctrine for operating within it. To acknowledge these biophysiological levels and factors of effect and formulate paradigms for developing more accurate detection for fitted resilience and directed deterrence and defense. This speaks to the need to appreciate cognitive warfare on a broader scale and as executable in and across global theaters of operation. Okay, let's continue. The military relevance of such cognitive engagement capabilities is twofold. Offensively, neurotechnologic and AI-enabled tools can be employed to influence adversary decision cycles through disruption of sense-making, misdirection of confidence, and steered direction of group-level dynamics. Defensively, cognitive engagement can be leveraged to safeguard force readiness and fortify societal resilience against manipulations that seek to disrupt individual and/or collective capabilities through narrative exploitation, stress induction, attentional saturation. Yes, attentional saturation. That's what's going on. Demoralization and/or engineered distrusts. Convergence, AI, and accelerant of cognitive engagement. Cognitive warfare extends into the social substrates of trust, shared epistemic standards, and institutional legitimacy. From a force development standpoint, AI becomes both threat and countermeasure. The same methods that enable adversary influence can, under current rule of law constraints, be employed to support defensive cognitive security, e.g., anomaly detection in influence networks, pattern recognition for coordinated inauthentic behavior, and decision support for commanders managing narrative risk. Thus, if neuroscience and technologies are the means of influencing the mind by affecting the brain, AI is increasingly becoming the means by which to affect the mind by manipulating the information ecology. Hence, the operational concern is not simply that AI can generate persuasive content, but rather that AI can be used to. It's getting interesting. Microsegment populations to enable psychographic and behavioral targeting, optimizing narratives in real time and across channels, automate social amplification, e.g., using bot, hybrid actor swarms. Yeah, ShadowNet, right? Create synthetic credibility, e.g. deepfakes, synthetic experts, forged evidence. Synthetic experts! We have a lot, every week a new one, right? Exploit cognitive biases, values, and vulnerabilities, e.g. salience, fear conditioning, in-group out-group polarization. And do so with speed and target specification on a variety of scales. Thus, the NATO report should be used as a sentinel call to look beyond the European theater, identify which actors on the global stage possess these capabilities, examine their current programs, projects, and potential applications, and acknowledge the clear and present realities of their using extent and emerging ST in cognitive warfare engagement. Recommendations. Given these realities, if NATO's 2025 Chief Scientist agenda is to be more than an important conceptual marker for the field, I believe it should drive military capabilities projects that align with how cognitive effects are generated and can be defended against in the current milieu of global power competition. Towards such ends, I propose the following recommendations. Develop cognitive indicators and warnings as a standing function to include enduring fusion cells that integrate neurocognitive and behavioral science, data and cyber science and technology and operational intelligence. Okay, let's do everything. Instantiate neuro-AI readiness and resilience programs for the force. What is neuro-AI? A hybrid? A chip in my brain? Or a chip in a super soldier brain? Instantiate neuro-AI readiness and resilience programs for the force, which entail training, assessment, and protective measures that regard cognition as a mission-critical substrate and not merely a soft add-on. Wow. Establish doctrine for cognitive engagement in military domains of operation. Cognitive effects should be integrated into planning alongside cyber, electronic warfare, space, and information activities, given that cognitive outcomes frequently determine whether kinetic engagement becomes tactically effective and strategically successful. Number 4. Expand ethical legal frameworks for governance of dual-use, neuro-ST and AI. Military forces must operationalize responsible use approaches, particularly given that cognitive engagement tools blur traditional lines between persuasion, manipulation, and coercion. Okay, yes, this is where prior NATO work on mitigating and responding to cognitive warfare remains relevant. Defense surely demands the use of cutting-edge science and technology, but equally necessitates guardrails for guidance, governance, and response. Yes, because the United States used to have this apparatus of warfare to use for other nations, enemy nations, but now, not now, but years ago, were authorized to use it against their own people, right? That's very well known. By Obama, I think. Conclusion: cognitive superiority is not optional. The NATO report rightly recognized that the international contest for power advantage is increasingly being engaged through human cognition, collective sense-making, and societal effect. The convergence of neuro-ST and AI will intensify this reality by enabling precision influence at scale through biological, psychological, and socially mediated modulation of human cognition, emotion, behavior, and vulnerabilities. What a mouthful. Therefore, I opine that the critical point to be taken from the NATO Chief Scientist report on cognitive warfare is that the task at hand is to ensure that initiatives in cognitive engagement become operational capabilities, with measurable indicators, trained forces, partnered resilience, and governance of dual use. Is T. In an era where the battle for the brain is no longer a metaphor, but becomes a factor in defense planning on the world stage. Very interesting, key information. I have to develop 2 points I'm interested in are the name of what was chaos, something chaos, fantastic one, like a title for a video, and the second one, this is Dr. James Giordano, the director of the Center of Disruptive Technology and Future Warfare of the Institute of... Okay, I don't remember the other one, but a lot to unpack here, and I will do it in another videos, more scripted, so I don't bumble and humble and rumble. Okay, this is it for today. Thank you very much. Oh, I have the chat. I forgot to read the chat. My new chat is in the mirror. Sorry, I'm gonna read the chats and answer them in another video the next time. Because I forgot to read. The last time I forgot to switch on my mic. Today I forgot to read the comments in the chat, but we have it in the screen. That's the new upgrade I made. Thank you very much for being here. I hope you have a fantastic rest of the day and the week and the weekend. Almost there. See you the next one. Thank you very much and goodbye.